In assembly configurations, I have control over several things, including a component's visibility, a component's suppression state, its color, its position, and its configuration. In addition to component characteristics, I can also use assembly configurations to control assembly characteristics such as assembly cuts, hole series, and mates. These different options give me several choices of how to expose the internal components of the gearbox. I can hide the housing and cover in this configuration. I can also create an assembly cut to cut away a portion of the housing and cover. I could make the housing and cover partly transparent, or I could simply move the cover out of the way so I can see inside. Each of these options can be controlled here in this configuration without affecting the default configuration. In this example, I'll be using a combination of these options to demonstrate how each of these can be accomplished. I'll begin by creating an assembly cut. I'll select the extruded cut icon from the assembly toolbar and sketch a large rectangle. I'll exit the sketch and set the end condition to through all. Now I only want the housing affected by the cut, so I'll edit the feature scope of the cut and exclude all components except the housing, and click OK. To further reveal the internal components, I'll hide the front cover plate next. I'll right-click on it and select Hide. The last thing I'll do is move the cover plate. If I expand it in the Feature Manager tree, you can see there are 3 mates in the Mates folder. I'll suppress the coincident mate that is keeping the cover attached to the housing. I'll replace this mate with a distance mate that moves the cover plate up. Now at this point, I've made 3 major changes to this configuration. I've added an assembly cut, I've hidden a component, and I've added a new mate. Now let's go back to the Configuration Manager and activate the original default configuration. To activate a configuration, you can either double-click on it or right-click on it and select Show Configuration. As I toggle back and forth between the two, you can see how the changes I made only affect the new internal configuration. You can add as many configurations and derived configurations as you wish. If you want to know more about the different items that can be controlled using assembly configurations, type Configurations in the SOLIDWORKS Online Help Index. A subcategory called Configurable Items and Assemblies will appear, which lists every item that can be controlled. Now, if you're wondering why the changes I made to the new configuration in this example, such as adding a cut and a new mate, didn't affect the default configuration, your question will be answered in the next lesson.